everybody, my name is Mars. You can call me May or MG if you would like, and today's video I will be going over all of the books that I read in February and picking out books to read in March. February has honestly been a fantastic reading month for me. A lot of like 8, 9, 10 star reads, like so many really good books, and I'm really hoping that continues into March. But yeah, why don't we just get right into things and talk about the books that I've read this month. So the first book that I picked up was The Burning Bridge by John Flanagan. This is the second book in the Ranger's Apprentice series, and this is part of my year-long reread of the series. So February is the second month, so I read the second book. I say that as if I'm not going to be reading them out of publication order a little bit when the chronology gets a little bit weird. Anyway, we'll get there when we get there. This is, like I said, the second book in the series. It's maybe my favorite book in the series just because we are introduced to some really cool characters, and the first book is kind of a lot of setup. Like, you have to learn everything about this world and everything, and this is where we really get into things. And I am just really glad to have started off my month on a high note and then continued on with the other books in the month that I read. They were also very good. The second book that I picked up was The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. This is the first book in the Great Worlds trilogy series. I don't know. I know that there's 2 books out right now, and definitely a third one will be coming out. I don't know if there will be more after that, but this is the first one, and it's fantastic. It's cosmic horror, sentient city vibes taking place in New York City. If you didn't know, I'm from New Jersey, but a town that's like right over the border. Like, I could see the New York City skyline from my backyard, kind of close. So like, I grew up going to New York all the time, and this was just really well done, I think, and absolutely amazing. I remember like binge reading it, and it's not like an easy read. Like, there are a lot of like crazy things that happen and you really have to like pay attention, but I felt like I was flying through it. I love this book so much. And the last book that was officially on my February TBR was The Water in the Wild by K.E. Ormsby. I give this a 10 out of 10. I thought this was so fantastic. Honestly, it was a cover by, because that's a gorgeous cover, but like inside, absolutely amazing story. I was obsessed, and it took everything I had not to immediately read the second book, because book 2 in the trilogy is on Scribd, and I'm like, I really want to read it, but book 3 isn't, so I was like, no, you know what, I don't want to just binge the first 2 and then who knows when I'll get to the third. I'd rather wait. So it took a lot, but I did hold off from reading book 2, but as soon as I like figure out how I will end up reading book 3, I'm gonna be picking up book 2 because I just thought this was amazing, and I really cannot wait to read the rest of the trilogy. Then I read Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before by Dr. Julie Smith, and I read this as an audiobook actually. This is the first time I've ever just listened to an audiobook without reading along physically, and it was a struggle at times because I'm not really an auditory like learner, so I had some issues, but overall it was a pretty enjoyable experience. This was the J&R book club pick, otherwise I probably wouldn't have picked it up. I'm not really a nonfiction self-help kind of reader, but it had a lot of really good things, like just kind of building blocks for bettering yourself, I guess. It dealt a lot with like grief and change and like all these big things that literally everyone goes through, and you don't really know how to deal with it until you go through it. It kind of just had some beginner tips on where to go from your current place to getting better. Then I picked up A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy, and this one was kind of slow going. I'd say the first 50 or 60 pages I was like not quite vibing with it, but then once the like second act and the whole story really picked up, I was obsessed. I ended up reading like 300 pages in one day. It was while I was streaming I was reading it, and then I was going to like stop reading once I finished my stream and get going to other stuff, but I ended up spending the entire day reading it and read almost the whole thing in one day, and it was really good. I love books about like sibling relationships, and this is about sisters, although the sister aspect is kind of like the least important of the main plot lines. It's still there, and I liked it a lot. And there is a sequel to this as a duology, so I really want to pick that up. After that, we have The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. This is the second book in the Scholomance trilogy. This book destroyed me. It was so good. I cried. It was just fantastic time. I really like Naomi Novik's writing. I don't know what it is about it, but I feel like she does a really good job of balancing like characters and the world, which this is in first person, and I'm not usually a first person kind of reader. I say that having read several books in the first person this month and loving all of them. But yeah, I just thought this was so good, and the ending made me cry. And my boyfriend offered to like pick up the third book in the trilogy on his way home from work the day after that I finished this, because he goes in the office once a week. He's like, on my way home I can pick it up and then you can read it. And I'm like, no, I have other obligations. I have to read other books. So I'm not reading that quite yet, but I will be buying it at the end of this month when I go to the bookstore to buy the next Siri Pedersen book, because I'm already going to be there. I might as well buy multiple books. So I will be finishing this series off, hopefully soon. And I know it's going to emotionally destroy me because I just love these characters so much, and it's gonna be so sad to see it end, but hopefully it's like a good ending. I don't know, we'll see. Then I picked up yet another amazing book that made me cry, and that was Iron Widow by Sharon J. Zhao. Holy crap, I can't believe I put off reading this for so long. This has been one of my most anticipated reads ever since I like first heard about it, and I didn't buy it for a while. I bought this either like the end of December, beginning of January, around then, and somehow didn't immediately pick it up. I waited this long, but I finally read it, and it was instantly one of my favorite books I've ever read. It's just so well done. Again, another first person book showing me that maybe I don't hate first person as much as I thought I did. Um, I just love the characters in the world, and it's just so fun and really broke my heart at the end there. Well, not quite the end, a bit before the end. And then the actual ending is like kind of funny, and I need book two. This is, I think, a duology, and I don't think it's going to be a trilogy. I think it's just a duology. And the second book, Heavenly Tyrant, which honestly, one of the most amazing covers I've ever seen. That's coming out in August, so I have to wait quite a while for book two. But you bet I am picking it up as soon as it comes out. Like, I need it. And then the book that I'm currently reading is Silver Under Nightfall by Rinch Pecco. I'm reading this as an ebook, and I'm enjoying it. It's not like my favorite book, but it's still pretty good. Like, I like the vibes and the atmosphere. Characters are a little flat, but like the rest of it is fine and like makes up for that. And it's vampires, which is not something I read about often, but yeah, I'm having an alright time, and it will probably be the last book that I read in February. If I do have some time at the end, I want to squeeze in Pet by Akwegi Emezi, because I still have yet to fulfill the prompt for the Somber Honey reading challenge, my own reading challenge. And Pet would fulfill that, so I'm gonna try and squeeze it in there. But as of the day I'm filming this, that is all that I have read, and so now we can get on with picking books for March. Okay, so the first step in picking my books is to find out how many books I'll be picking, so how many cards I'll be pulling. So I've got my little box here, and I've got my D4, so we're going to actually place this down so I can roll it better, and we get a 2. So we have to roll again and add. So let's see what we get. A 1. So we have to roll again and add again. If you missed my rules video that I put out last week, I will link that in the description for you to actually know how this happens. So we're up to 3 right now, but we have to roll, and this is our final roll. Whatever we get, we add to 3, and that's how many pulls we have to do. So that is a 4. Okay, so 7 pulls. That is the maximum I can get. Okay, I mean, the first 2 months that I've done this, January and February, I did get 3 and 3, which is the minimum, so I feel like, might as well balance it out with doing the maximum. Okay, 7 pulls. Let's do this. Okay, so I've got my deck. Ooh, I don't want to see what's on the bottom. Not that that's where I'll be pulling from. Whatever. It's already shuffled, but I'm going to split the deck anyway, just to like shuffle it up a bit more, and you know that I'm not cheating. Let's do one more time. Let's go here. And pull 7 cards. Okay, let's go. First card is the 4 of Fiends. Okay, that's alright. The Beast. Okay, we're pulling some interesting ones. I don't know like what most of the prompts are off the top of my head because there's 103 of them, but I know some of them, and we're off to a start. Pull number 3 is the 2 of Adversaries. Alright, pull 4. Ooh, the 3 of Undead. I think I got this in January. I got an Undead card. It might have been the 2. I don't know. Doesn't matter. We got the 3 of Undead. Pull number 5 is the 3 of Dragons. This is such a beautiful card. I love the white dragon. We're gonna ignore my cat meowing at the door to pull the last 2 cards. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, pull 6 is the 4 of Constructs, and pull 7 is the 2 of Fiends. Okay, so we got 2 Fiend cards. Okay, I'm going to go check my list and get all of the actual prompts and then come back and talk to you. Okay, so I actually had to stop filming for a little bit, so I decided to use that time to actually pick out the books. So you're going to get the prompt and the book at the same time instead of hearing all the prompts and then seeing all the books. So, there's a lot, and these are not books that I expected to be reading this month, so let's just get into them. So the first one we have, I can pick it up, was the 4 of Fiends, and this is a queer romance. And I don't really own romance, let alone specific genre, like subgenres. So I texted my friend, who I know reads a lot of queer romance. Chloe's gonna scratch me out the door, and I'm going to ignore her because the last time I let her in, she got in my lap and immediately bit me. So we're just gonna pretend she's not there. So I texted my friend, and I'm like, hey AJ, recommend me a queer romance. Just any ones that you have, I'll let you decide. And so they were like, okay, are we feeling more adult or YA? Are we feeling sapphic or MLM? Like, what are the vibes? So we narrowed it down, and I will be reading One Last Stop, which is one of their favorite books of all time. So that is the pick for the 4 of Fiends. Up next, we have The Beast, and the prompt for this is a fairy tale retelling. So I have decided to go with Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and I don't own this one. I'm going to be reading it as an ebook. Then we have the 2 of Adversaries, and the prompt for this is a book that is intimidating because of age or language. Basically, that just means a classic, and I will be reading The Three Musketeers, which, fun fact, this edition that I have is illustrated by Brett Helquist, who is the same person that illustrated A Series of Fortune Events. Then we have The 3 of Undead, which is a book that I got for free, and for this I will be reading Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. This is the sequel to Cinder, and I got this out of a free little library. Free little library. Still don't know what the actual name is, but hopefully I like Cinder enough to continue on with the series. I did DNF Heartless by Marissa Meyer, so hopefully that's not a sign that I don't like this author and it was just that one book. Yeah, that's it's gonna be interesting reading them. Probably gonna read them back to back. I don't think I'm gonna binge the whole series because I now have so many books on this TBR, plus other books that I know I want to read anyway that I couldn't fit on here. But yeah, 2 Marissa Meyer books. Up next is the 3 of Dragons, and the prompt for this is the shortest in height book that I physically own, and that is Richard III. I do own several different Shakespeare plays in this Signet Classic edition, but for some reason this one is like ever so slightly shorter than all the rest, so that's what I'll be reading. This will be the first of Shakespeare's histories for me, I think. The 6th book is the 4 of Constructs, which is a book published since 2020, so I have chosen Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White, and this was published last year. It's a 2022 release, and this cover, absolutely stunning. It's a queer book, and it's about the apocalypse. I can't wait to get into this. I am so excited to read it. And the last book officially on my March TBR, The prompt is The Two of Fiends, so a paranormal romance. For that, I have chosen A Curse in Ash by Julie Zentopoulos. Probably mispronounced that because I can't pronounce anything correctly. But Julie is a fellow booktuber, author tuber. She's kind of a friend of a friend, actually. And I've been wanting to read her book for a while, and I recently learned that it was on Scribd, so I am going to be giving that a read. Scribd and like Goodreads and everything describes it as urban fantasy, which I know is not quite the same thing as paranormal, but it's close enough. Like I said, I'm not really a romance person. Why I have so many romance prompts in my game is beyond me. I just happen to pick 2 this month, so yeah, let's hope that goes well. And of course, there are several books that I wanted to read in March that did not make it onto this TBR. So, for example, the next Ranger's Apprentice book, I will be reading book 3 in that series, and I didn't make it onto this TBR. I have the books for the different book clubs and reading challenges that I'm doing that I couldn't get on here, didn't figure out. So, that's fun. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting month, hopefully. My good vibes from February carry over into March, and I end up liking all of these books just as much as I've liked the ones from my February reading. So these are the 4 physical books on my official March TBR, plus we have 3 ebooks and then a ton of other books that I planned on reading and couldn't fit on here. So I've got my work cut out for me in March. Yeah, let me know if you've read any of these books and if you enjoyed them. Hopefully they're good ones. But that is all for me today. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I will see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.